showing solidarity with the survivors of the genocide and victims of the war in Bosnia is a very, very important thing to do for a number of reasons. Obviously, here in Manchester, we welcomed refugees, and we continue to welcome refugees. And I'm always very, very proud when I speak in the Parliament, or when I speak in the constituency, or when I speak at the many events I go to all over the world now. I'm always very, very proud to say that I represent one of the most successful, functional, diverse cities in the world. And it truly, truly is. I can never quite understand how other people find it so difficult. You know, integration for them seems to be a problem. But it has not been a problem here. Right? And this goes back centuries. It goes back centuries to Irish people coming here in the potato famine, all the way through. We welcomed Ugandan Asian refugees. We've welcomed people from the Commonwealth countries. We've continued to welcome people from African conflicts. We've welcomed both people from Bosnia Herzegovina and also from Kosovo. But that word solidarity is an important word for those of us in the labour movement. It's a very important word because it's about it gives us that sense of always standing up against social injustice, feeling empathy with other people, not being afraid to stand up. We sent people to fight in the Spanish Civil War, from Manchester. People went and fought in the Spanish Civil War in solidarity against the generals, against the fascist dictatorship then. And that, again, is solidarity. It's very important. And solidarity is also a foundation of the European Union. And obviously, Afzal and I are both elected representatives, and we're facing a particularly tumultuous, difficult time now, with that sense of solidarity being, I suppose, called into question in a way. And I think it's even more important right now that we remember what it means to stand in solidarity with people despite those difficulties, despite the divisions that have opened up in our society. So being here today is an act of solidarity that crosses all kinds of boundaries, language boundaries, geographical boundaries, not that there are any, but different faiths too, different generations. I work on several committees in the Parliament that are relevant to this file. So I'm on the Culture and Education Committee, and in that respect, I do a lot of work with young people. And last night and this morning, I was with a group of young people who are working in a pan-European context, but the focus of their project is Srebrenica and Bosnia. And they're working with young people, bringing young people together from lots of different communities, and they're working on issues around democracy and capacity building, and really trying to give young people some hope for the future. And that's even more important given what's just happened with the referendum. That project, it's called The Complete Freedom of Truth. I think it's really interesting, The Complete Freedom of Truth. And actually, there is no justice without truth, and no truth without justice. And I think one of the biggest things about what's still happening in Bosnia and Kosovo too is that people cannot move on until justice has been done. And it's very important that people like Afzal and I, who have a position, who have a platform, a political platform, keep raising our voices, and that you as well in all your communities keep raising your voices, because justice must be seen to be done. That is hugely, hugely important. That word, so there's a judicial process which is ongoing and should be faster. There's also justice in terms of economic justice that needs to be done, particularly for the women, for the widows, for the mothers, for the daughters. reparation in terms of receiving widows' pensions. I think that's just started to come through within, am I right? I'm trying to keep up with sort of with what's happening in the country, but I think that that's been something that's just started to happen, that victims, some of the women victims are actually starting to get this financial reparation, but they've waited 21 years for it. You know, that's too long. And along the way, many people have died. They've been heartbroken. They have mental health problems. They have physical problems. You know, we know that the victims are not just victims who lost loved ones, but are also victims in their own right because of sexual violence as well. So there's an enormous amount of reparations that need to be made. But in my role working on the Education and Culture Committee, I do feel that we are able to talk to the next generation about their responsibilities to try and build up things in their community. But I can tell you that they can't do it by themselves, and that's not because they're not strong. It's because they need that peer support, which we all need. You know, I couldn't do my job if I didn't have the support of my fellow MEPs, of people like Heather, of the sisters here like Aisha from the community, and Amna from the community. So we all need that peer support. So it's very important that those people in that community feel that they are working alongside other young people from other countries. And of course their British peers are now feeling as if they have just lost something too, and they're feeling very broken. So those young people getting together over the past few days in Blackburn, in fact, are helping each other to heal and are giving each other peer support. And we should never forget that this is a two-way process, that cultural exchange, we all gain something. We give, but we gain. So when I go and make my visits to Sarajevo, to Bosnia, to Tuzla, I benefit too. I benefit enormously through learning about people's resilience, through learning about their entrepreneurial spirit, through learning about the amazing young people there who want so much to bring new structures, really, new activities, new hope, new enterprises, new skills for the young people. I also work on the FEM committee, Women's Rights, and obviously that's very important too because of the particular situation that women faced. And I'm very, very active in the area of combating violence against women and girls. And in fact, I've been working with a lot of women right across all the Balkan states who are trying to give support in a number of ways to women, because it's very difficult within those communities for some women to seek help. It's very, very difficult. They feel there's a stigma attached. They've waited such a long time. It's very hard to talk about the things that have happened. But they're kind of stuck without doing that. There's a lot of fixing that needs to be done. So working with women and making sure that within my parliamentary work that I'm trying to strengthen all the policy around that and trying to strengthen any mechanisms we can make within the Parliament to give money to projects, to give expertise to projects, to profile projects as well. That's really important. So I'm very active in the Women's Committee too. And then on the delegation, I'm very proud to say that I have actually been participating in the interparliamentary meetings with the Bosnian Parliament and with the European Parliament on the very first negotiations for accession to the European Union. I have to tell you that it's fraught, it's difficult, the different parties are this far apart, and they have yet to come closer together. but they will, and we won't give up. Because whilst they are here, they are not doing their country, their young people, their women folk, their different communities, their economy. They're not doing any of those communities the slightest bit of good. So we're not going to give up on that. And yes, it's slow steps, but it is a process. It continues. It is about dialogue. And that, again, is a really important thing about the EU. You know, we have committee meetings and we have dialogue instead of fighting each other. Slow, step by step, bringing people a little bit more, being incredibly patient, and saying there is a process, there are rules, we must abide by these. You must come closer together and meet each other across that table. So whilst I can, as long as I'm doing this job, and the way things are going, folks, it could be years, right? And I did say last weekend when I was speaking to many of you at another event, at a women's event, you know, we're here for as long as it takes to continue to be your elected representatives, representing you, representing those wider communities who we care for. So I'm very committed. The last bit today. I was there at 9 o'clock this morning at Blackburn Cathedral to wave people off, and then I managed to do the last little bit of the walk from Cheetham Hill down here, and I'm late actually because poor Councillor Nordad Aziz from Haslingden, from Hyndburn, he had so many blisters on his feet he could hardly walk, and he refused to get in a car or a bus or a taxi, or for even us to give him a piggyback. And he's a little guy, I could have done it, all right? I've got 2 boys, and they're 20 now, like this, and I can still pick them up, right? He walked all the way, and I think that just tells you, doesn't it? That just tells you how much people here care about this issue. You know, if you've never been to Srebrenica, you should go, right? You should go, and you should keep going. And you tell more and more and more people. This movement, Remembering Srebrenica, needs to grow. And it's already grown year on year on year. We've only been going, I think, 3 years. Now I was at the very first event in Blackburn Cathedral in 2014. And apparently, somebody said apparently 10,000, the events have already touched 10,000 people this year in schools, communities, churches, right across the country. Isn't that amazing? 10,000 people in this country this year have been touched by the things that we are doing. So, and as ever, thank you for letting me be part of this amazing community here in Manchester. I always feel honoured to represent you. All right, thank you.